Hi everyone, my name is Kaiser. I chose this paper, Ecology of Seed Dispersal by Howell and Smallwood, because it was a great conceptual paper that a lot of the other research out there kind of refers back to. So I thought it would be a good foundation in kind of the modern field of seed dispersal ecology. The two questions this paper is trying to answer is what ecological and evolutionary advantages exist for seed dispersal, and what are the environmental forces affecting the timing and dispersal. So most of these dispersal mechanisms were covered in the video lecture by Dr. Stevens Ruman. So I'm not going to go over them, just wanted to go over a few. So this right here is the lysosome, and it's a part of the seed, and it attracts ants. They bring it back to their nest, and then they just get rid of the seed. Here we have some seeds that mimic beetles, and so birds are going to eat these and disperse them. This is called mimesis. So some plants have these weird bristles that will contract and expand and actually move the seed along the ground. This is creeping diaspores. Next, they get into the meat of the paper, which is the advantages of the seed dispersal and the theories behind them. I'm going to cover each one of these. But one thing that they get at is that the distribution of species within the community it reflects how the seeds are dispersed. So the first one is the escape hypothesis, which states that plants are going to try and get as far away from the parent as possible, and that could be either due to insect or pathogens or competition between seedlings. The next one is a colonization hypothesis, and so this one just basically says that habitats change over time, and sending seeds far and wide will help to find those favorable conditions. And it's more consistent with rural or fugitive species that are trying to find new disturbances. And the last one is the direct dispersal hypothesis, which basically means that the plant is trying to get into a specialized habitat, and so it's going to control its dispersal through one of those different mechanisms in order to get into that habitat. And so some examples of this are birds caching seeds and nuts, and ants depositing seeds in non-random locations. Next, we move on to answering that second question of what external or environmental factors affect seed dispersal. First, dispersal mechanisms are going to be influenced by their geography. And so examples you're going to read about, in tropical forests, they're going to have big fleshy fruits that are animal dispersed. Shrublands are going to be more ant dispersed. Deserts, wind dispersed. You're not going to see a whole lot of wind dispersal on islands. Seasonality is going to affect dispersal variability. And so you're going to see places with more dry and wet seasons, they're going to have different types of dispersals within them as opposed to places that are wet all the time, like tropical areas. There's variation among species, and we see this in frugivory, where you have species that produce lots of low quality seed that attract different and more dispersers and take it to like a wider variety of habitats. Or you have the high investment species, which produce only a few that these specialists take them to those specific habitats. And this is also complicated by predator avoidance. There's also variation within a species. And so we're going to see significant differences in the weight and the number and other fruit qualities between individuals. However, it's hard to separate whether these are genetic differences or differences in environmental conditions. The paper wraps up talking about how these different hypotheses are not necessarily exclusive, but there could be a multitude of different factors that affect the seed dispersal ecology, which is going to make it difficult to test in the future. And then again, they wanted to emphasize that the spatial distribution that you're seeing of those individuals more often reflects the seed dispersal strategy. seed dispersal factors into a lot of the different concepts and theories that we look at in disturbance ecology. And so we'll be talking a little bit about that this week in the discussion. Thanks.